In the incredible sun-drenched story of ancient Egypt, one name stands out with a unique and powerful glow: Hatshepsut. She was not just a queen, she was a woman who dared to become a king. Imagine a world dominated entirely by men, where tradition was the unbreakable law of the land. In this world, Hatshepsut, a daughter of the great pharaoh Thutmose I, possessed a confidence that could rival the tallest obelisks and an ambition as vast as the Nile Delta itself. She was born into the heart of the 18th dynasty, a time of immense power and wealth for Egypt, and she believed, with every fiber of her being, that she was destined to rule it. Hatshepsut's journey began in a conventional way for a royal woman. She was the great royal wife of her half-brother Thutmose II. This was a common practice in the Egyptian royal court, designed to keep the divine bloodline pure and secure. During her husband's reign, she fulfilled her duties perfectly, acting as a powerful and influential queen. But fate had a different, much grander plan in store for her. When Thutmose II died after a relatively short time on the throne, he left behind a very young son, Thutmose III, as his heir. This young boy was far too small to govern the vast and complex kingdom of Egypt on his own. This moment was the turning point in Hatshepsut's life, and in the history of Egypt. According to tradition, she was appointed as the regent for her young stepson. A regent is someone who rules in place of a monarch who is too young, absent, or unable to rule. Her job was to manage the country until Thutmose III was old enough to take his rightful place as pharaoh. For many women, this would have been the peak of their power. But for Hatshepsut, this was merely the first step on a ladder she intended to climb all the way to the top, challenging centuries of tradition along the way. Her ambition was not a secret desire hidden in the shadows of the palace. It was a bold declaration. She did not simply want to guide Egypt, she wanted to lead it as its supreme ruler. She saw herself not as a placeholder for a future king, but as the rightful king herself. This was an astonishing idea, a concept that had rarely been attempted before. To achieve this, she needed more than just royal blood. She needed clever strategies, powerful allies, and an unshakable belief in her divine right to wear the double crown of Upper and Lower Egypt. Her story is one of incredible determination and political genius. For the first few years of her regency, Hatshepsut governed Egypt on behalf of young Thutmose III. She ruled wisely, maintaining the stability and prosperity of the kingdom. However, behind the scenes, she was carefully laying the groundwork for a revolutionary move. She understood that, to take full power, she needed to convince the people, the priests, and the powerful officials that her rule was not just necessary, but divinely ordained. She began to slowly change her public image, moving from that of a regent queen to something far greater. It was a masterful display of political theater, played out on the grandest stage in the ancient world. Around the 7th year of her regency, Hatshepsut made her boldest move. She declared herself not just a regent, but a co-ruler with Thutmose III. Then she went even further, claiming the full titles and authority of a pharaoh. She adopted the traditional male symbols of kingship, often having herself depicted in statues and reliefs, with a muscular physique and wearing the iconic false beard of the pharaohs. This was not about denying her gender. It was a clever strategy to fit into the established imagery of power. She was telling the world that a woman could be a king, and she would use the language of kings to prove it. To legitimize this unprecedented rise to power, Hatshepsut used powerful religious stories. She commissioned inscriptions and reliefs that told the tale of her divine birth. In these stories, the god Amun-Ra, the most powerful deity in Egypt, was said to have visited her mother in the form of her father, Thutmose I. This meant that she was not just a mortal ruler, but the divine daughter of the king of the gods himself. This powerful narrative provided a sacred justification for her rule, making it difficult for anyone to challenge her authority. It was a claim that placed her on an equal footing with every male pharaoh who came before her. In this complex political landscape, Hatshepsut relied on a circle of trusted advisors, and none was more important than a man named Senenmut. He was a man of humble origins who rose to become one of the most powerful officials in Egypt under her reign. He held numerous important titles, including chief architect and steward of the god Amun. Their relationship was incredibly close, leading some historians to speculate that they were lovers. Whatever the nature of their bond, Senenmut was her most loyal supporter and the brilliant mind who helped bring many of her ambitious architectural visions to life, solidifying her power in stone. Hatshepsut's reign was not defined by war and conquest, which was common for many pharaohs. Instead, she focused on peace, prosperity, and a monumental building program that would leave her mark on Egypt forever. Her rule ushered in a period of great artistic and architectural achievement. She commissioned hundreds of construction projects throughout Upper and Lower Egypt, restoring old temples and building magnificent new ones. Her goal was to honor the gods, employ her people, and create a legacy of a golden age. Her buildings were not just structures, they were statements of her power and her devotion to Egypt. Her greatest architectural achievement, and one of the wonders of the ancient world, is her mortuary temple at Deir el-Bahri. This stunning temple, known as Djeser Djeseru, or Holiest of Holies, is carved directly into the towering limestone cliffs on the west bank of the Nile. Designed by her loyal architect Senenmut, the temple features a series of sweeping terraces connected by long ramps. Its walls are covered in beautiful reliefs that tell the story of her divine birth and her greatest accomplishments. It stands today as a breathtaking testament to her vision, ambition, and the incredible skill of her builders. Beyond building, Hatshepsut was also keen on re-establishing trade networks that had been disrupted by earlier conflicts. Her most famous economic achievement was a grand trading expedition to the distant and mysterious land of Punt, which historians believe was located somewhere on the coast of modern-day Somalia, or Eritrea. The reliefs in her temple show the 5 large ships returning to Egypt, their decks laden with incredible treasures. They brought back frankincense and myrrh, precious woods, exotic animals like monkeys and giraffes, and gold and ivory. This expedition was a huge success, bringing immense wealth and prestige to Egypt. This focus on trade and construction made Egypt rich and stable. By providing jobs for thousands of people, from stonecutters and artists to sailors and merchants, she ensured the economic well-being of her subjects. Her reign was a time of peace, a period when Egyptian culture and artistry flourished. She proved that a pharaoh could be strong and successful not by waging war, but by building, trading, and creating a prosperous society for her people. She was a master of soft power, using diplomacy and economic strength to maintain Egypt's influence in the world and secure her place in history. After a successful reign of about 22 years, the story of Hatshepsut takes a mysterious turn. The circumstances surrounding her death are not clearly recorded. For a long time, her mummy was thought to be lost. However, in 2007, a mummy that had been discovered a century earlier in a minor tomb in the Valley of the Kings was identified as hers. Modern scientific analysis, including DNA testing and CT scans, suggests that she was in her 50s when she died. It appears she suffered from several health problems, including diabetes and bone cancer, which likely contributed to her death. There is no evidence to suggest she was murdered or overthrown. What is more mysterious is what happened after her death. About 20 years after she died, during the reign of her stepson, Thutmose III, a widespread campaign was launched to erase her from history. Her name was chiseled off monuments, her statues were smashed and buried, and her image was removed from temple walls. For a long time, historians believed this was an act of bitter revenge by a stepson who had been kept from power for too long. However, a more recent theory suggests it was not personal hatred, but a political move to restore tradition and ensure a smooth succession for Thutmose III's own son. By removing evidence of a successful female pharaoh, Thutmose III may have been trying to correct what he saw as a disruption to Ma'at, the divine order and balance of the universe. The traditional model of kingship in Egypt was exclusively male, and a female king, no matter how successful, challenged that fundamental principle. Erasing her memory would prevent any future royal woman from following her example, and would solidify the idea that only a man could be the true pharaoh of Egypt. It was a calculated decision to reinforce the patriarchal line of succession and protect the stability of the throne. Despite this attempt to wipe her from the pages of history, Hatshepsut's legacy survived. The sheer scale of her building projects made it impossible to erase her completely. Archaeologists in the 19th and 20th centuries rediscovered her story, piecing together the fragments of her statues and deciphering the inscriptions she left behind. Today, Hatshepsut is remembered and admired as one of Egypt's most powerful and successful rulers. She stands as a shining example of a woman who defied convention, ruled in a time of peace and prosperity, and left behind a legacy so grand that not even the deliberate efforts of her successors could destroy it. Her story continues to inspire people all over the world.